Hi guys, we're up to part 2, chapter 5, so let's go. After the meal, they left what they thought might be a generous tip for the waiter, guessing that they'd find out next time if he had the same enthusiasm or not. Back in the room, they showered and changed, watched some television, and went to bed early. The very next morning, they couldn't wait to go down to the restaurant again. It was open early, but this time it was quite busy. Pierce noticed that the menu was the same and they didn't have any breakfast selections, so they ate pretty much the same thing as the day before. The same waiter wasn't there in the morning, but they were served equally as well by another, although he did have a sly look on his face, matched by a distinctive moustache. "I'm going to the front desk," Pierce said. "Okay." Trey and Jada kept eating. Jada thought that his front desk was a cigarette. At the front desk, Pierce, who by now, after getting some rest, had gathered up courage to leave the hotel, but he wanted to be prepared, so asked one of the 2 young concierges what would be the best way to get around that was safe and cheap. The tall, lanky fellow of lighter skin, probably from the north of India, said that he could book a tuk-tuk. "A what?" "It's the best way to get around and cheap. I know a very reliable man. His name is Kumar." "Okay, I'll leave it up to you. Can he be here by 10 a.m? I will call him now." He made the call, speaking in Hindi. Pierce couldn't understand a word he said. "He will be here at 10 a.m, sir." "Can I ask how much is the going rate? I don't want to be ripped off." As Pierce asked that question, the female concierge came to stand by the guy. She smiled, and suddenly they both broke out in unison about the cost of the tuk-tuk. For the whole day, it should cost you no more than 200 rupees. If they want more than that, then they were ripping you off. But if you want to pay more, that is up to you. "They will try and take advantage of you because you are a foreigner," the girl added. Pierce noticed from the way they addressed and held themselves, they seemed as if they were middle class, more educated, lighter skin, and their English was very good, especially compared to some of the people they'd met already. He noticed some animosity, perhaps between the castes. He thanked them for the information and told them he'd be in the restaurant. He returned to the restaurant where the others had polished off the remainder of the food. "Guess what?" Pierce said as he sat down. "You had a cigarette," Jada said. "You're gay," Trey responded. Pierce laughed and then gave Trey a stern look. Trey looked down a little intimidated. Then Pierce laughed again. "No, and no. We've got a tuk-tuk coming to pick us up." "What's that?" asked Trey. "It's a car/motorbike thingy, like a taxi but smaller." "Cool. I've always wanted to ride on one of those," Jada enthused. "Yeah, they look cool, huh?" They paid their bill, left another generous tip on the table, and headed to the foyer. It was 9:45, so they sat on the lounges with another couple to wait for the tuk-tuk driver. Pierce nodded his head. "Good morning." A few minutes later, a gentle hand touched Pierce's shoulder. He turned round to see an Indian man, middle-aged, slight build, skirting short brown hair. "My name is Kumar," he said. "Pleased to meet you. I'm Pierce. This is Jada and Trey," said Pierce, introducing the others. He smiled. He had an honest face. They followed him out of the lobby, out past the security gate where others waited to be frisked. Kumar turned his head slightly, after already lighting up a cigarette, urging them to follow him with his open, gestured hand. The tuk-tuk was about 20 metres down the lane. He kept turning his head to make sure they were following. Kumar seemed to be a man of few words. He stubbed out the cigarette with his sandals and got into the vehicle. Pierce got in the back, followed by Trey and then Jada. It was quite a squeeze, but cosy. Trey was smiling uncontrollably. Kumar turned around and asked, "Where to go?" His teeth, not overly white, reached through his dusty face and dry lips that gave the impression his teeth were cleaner than they were. Kumar, we need to go to many places. I was wondering how much you charge for the whole day. 200 rupees. Okay, that sounds fair. Pierce offered his hand. Kumar shook it and smiled. First we need to go to this address. Do you know it? He asked, handing Kumar a small piece of paper that Jada had prepared beforehand. He nodded, turned and started the engine of the little machine. It had handlebars with brakes like a bicycle. Once into gear, the tuk-tuk jumped to a start, turning into the quiet laneway. The acceleration was immediate, noisy but welcoming. It felt safe somehow. Pierce was dressed in all white, shorts, shirt and thongs. Jada wore jeans and a shirt, and Trey wore shorts. They were told that it would be hot and thought they should dress accordingly. Kumar was wearing what looked like a uniform, drab grey drill pants and a matching shirt. They noticed other tuk-tuk drivers with the same attire. Chapter 6. Just near Lajpat Nagar, a neighbourhood in the Krishna Market, New Delhi, a narrow building sprang from the street that was unpaved yet quite flat. It was unusual in Delhi in all except the richest of areas to have paved streets in the suburbs. Dirt and dust lined the street and merged considerably well with the buildings and houses. Wires stretched across vast distances, bundles as thick as tree trunks sprouting in different directions. Some of them looked dangerous and ghastly to outsiders, but to the Indians it was just part of the environment. The narrow terrace-style building was a whitish grey with 4 floors and a balcony on the top floor. The ground floor foyer had a staircase at the rear, just before an entranceway that may or may not have been someone's apartment. Leading up to the second floor balcony where the office of the ancient Nadi palm leaf readers was located. At the doorway were several pairs of shoes. The balcony had pot plants sitting on an ochre-coloured tile floor, and the thick wall of the balcony rose to waist height. Although the building was right on the street, just being on the balcony, looking out into the neighbourhood, you could feel a sense of tranquility, as if you'd stepped into a quieter area. It felt somewhat English. Through the main door you were greeted by 3 rows of plastic chairs, the same ones used at most primary schools, with black steel legs. They faced in a semicircle a desk that was occupied by a young man wearing a uniform of some kind. He was kind-faced, attentive, and seemed to be busy, but it was difficult to say at what. A couple sat at the front row waiting for something. They were middle-aged and middle class. An older lady sat alone on the back row, leafing through a magazine only to stop and look up when someone else entered. On the wall on the left were photos of newspaper articles verifying their legitimacy, stories of success for seekers of their own truth. The floor was covered by boards, darkly stained, that followed a hallway with several small rooms off it and one prayer room in the middle. Nadi palm leaves were said to have been written about 5,000 years ago by a sage and hold past, present and future predictions of those who seek them out. Individuals were verified and matched to their respective leaves via a thumbprint. As the tuk-tuk careened down the laneway from the hotel, they felt a sense of freedom, comfort and security, having Kumar as their driver. Pierce hoped that he would be loyal to them and not want to rip them off like the first driver and perhaps many others. Hiring him for the entire day ensured he would be able to show them parts of Delhi that they would never be able to see travelling alone. People were everywhere. They darted across dirt-covered streets, harassed passers-by, and just went about their daily activities as per normal. The tuk-tuk came to a halt. The traffic ahead was thick and impenetrable. Kumar stood up, holding the handlebars, trying to see through the congestion of vehicles, his cigarette hanging from his mouth. Jada noticed his body was like many of the Indian men she could see. They were mostly skinny, their bodies the size of 14-year-old boys in the US, shirts tucked in and belts pulled tight. He turned the vehicle and veered right, slowly passing through the crowd and eventually getting off the main road, taking a narrow street where he could give full throttle. Smells wafted through the air of petrol, feces, pollution and animals. Noises seemed to be part of nature, even dispensing with nature. Greenery looked like it was forbidden. "Where are we going first?" Jada asked, her body neatly hemmed in between Trey and the edge of the cabin. Not sure, I mean, I don't know where or how far, but I've instructed Kumar to take us to the Krishna market area this morning because we can't go to see Pranda until tomorrow or the next day. But what's at the Krishna market? I think it's an area or neighbourhood, not too sure. There is a place that I need to go. I'm fascinated by this book that I picked up. Pierce dug around in his backpack for the book. Here it is. It's called The Hidden Oracle of India, The Mystery of India's Nadi Palm Leaf Readers. He handed it to Jada. She took the book, glanced at the cover, turned to read the back blurb, and then opened it up in the middle, as was her method of telling whether a book was worthy of reading. Wow, seems really interesting. This couple, she said, pulling the book away from her face, came here to Delhi. How exciting. What else does it say? Jada closed the book and handed it back to Piers. I haven't been able to put it down. I think if we were in New York and not travelling to India, I might not find it so interesting. But I guess because we're here, it can't hurt. He turned to the front. Kumar turned his head, keeping his other senses on the road. Yes, sir. Call me Pierce. Okay, Pierce. Haha, he said. Pierce. Trey laughed, elbowing Pierce in the stomach. Pierce repeated. Pierce, yes, sir. Not speaking English well, sir. That's okay. Pierce it is. So Kumar married. Wife? He asked, pointing to his wedding ring finger. Wife, yes, I have wife. He smiled and nodded side to side. Beautiful. And you have kids? He cradled his arms and rocked them from side to side like it was a universal sign for babies. Yes, Pierce, 3 children. 2 girls and 1 boy. Pierce, surprised that Pierce even cared. Pierce noticed the reverse swastika hanging over Kumar's head on the roof of the tuk-tuk. Look, he said to Jada, pointing to it. That's used by Hindus. It was taken from the Hindus by the Nazis, Jada said knowingly. Okay. Kumar, are you Hindu? Yes, I am Hindu. Pierce was beginning to like Kumar, and Kumar was noticing something different about them. Perhaps as an Indian, people would expect that they would do anything to rip a foreigner off, to fleece them for every cent that they could. But Kumar was an honest man who battled every day to provide for his family in the best way he could. Okay, guys, we'll continue with Chapter 7, Part 2, Chapter 7 next week. Thanks, guys.